Christians, and my friend here, X-Ray Grace. He asked the question, if free will doesn't exist, what's the point of spreading the gospel if God has already predestined his chosen favorites, as he called it in quotes, which I'm not embarrassed by. Yes, believers are God's favorites. That's a fact. Now, you said if free will doesn't exist. First of all, I like to ask you, my friend, and anybody listening, where do you see free will in the Bible? Anywhere. Where do you see anyone in the Bible teaching free will? Where do you see the sermons on the exercise of anybody's free will? Now, what I do know is that in Ephesians and in Romans, we are taught about predestination. But there's no teaching in the scriptures about free will. Zero. What you do get in the scriptures is that there's none righteous. None righteous, no, not one. So let's say, for instance, that men do have a free will. How is it that none chose righteousness? And if some did choose righteousness, then their salvation is not by grace, X-Ray Grace. So my thing is, you are adamant about the existence of free will, which the Bible does not teach, but predestination is slapping you in the face from the Word of God, and yet you deny the veracity of the teaching. Now, I'm not trying to disrespect you or anybody who believes otherwise, but you simply have to look at the reason here. But then again, I also understand that this is a difficult subject to understand. The mistake you make, like so many people make, is making the assumption or believing that I make the assumption that somehow predestination overrules man's responsibility. And it does not. It does not. Free will has to do with not only man's will to choose anything, but what keeps him from choosing the right thing. And therefore, there is some kind of a block behind man's inability to do what is pleasing to God. And that block is his sinful nature. His sinful nature is what prohibits him from exercising his will freely. Be provoked and be persuaded.